Welcome to step 4 of the writing workshop. This is where you guys will be revising your thesis. Currently, right now, what you have is there are similarities that exist between dogs and humans. But this isn't quite a strong enough thesis just yet. So what we want to do is first we want to reference where are we getting this information from. That's something you want to include in your thesis. But we also want to address some of the similarities that we're going to be talking about, like processing language and memory. So we got to include all of this into our thesis to make it super strong and make our reader aware of what they're going to be reading about. Not just the similarities, but just vaguely address what it is we'll be discussing, and also give credit to the people who gave us this information. So we know that we had two articles. Article 1 was Dogs Process Language the Same Way Humans Do, according to new study by Karen Brouillard. And Article 2, Study of Dogs Adds to Growing Knowledge of Animals' Memories by Karina Hurley. We can put the authors' names here. And that would help us fill in the sentence. We could also put the title of the article, but since the title is so long, I think we should stick with the authors' names. And then we need to include the information. What is the main idea of our essay? Well, in this case, we've already turned the prompt into a question and then answered it by saying that it's the similarities that exist between dogs and humans. So our thesis statement is going to read, the articles by Karen Brouillard and Karina Hurley, that's where we're going to put in these boxes, display that similarities exist between dogs and humans. Now, where did I find this part of my topic sentence? This part right here. Directly within the prompt. That's right. It says similarities that exist between dogs and humans. That is the main thing it's asking us to explain. So that is where we are finding our thesis statement. Now you want to go back to what you've already written on your planning sheet. And you're probably going to use your eraser here, so hopefully you used a pencil. If not, then you can use the extra space underneath. But right now, we have just this simple sentence, there are similarities that exist between dogs and humans. And that would be okay, but it's not quite enough because it doesn't tell us who wrote it or where we got our information from. And it also doesn't give enough information. It's enough, but not quite enough. So what do we want to add? Well, first we want to make sure that we add the author that wrote it. So you're going to erase and you're going to write the articles by Karen Brouillard and Karina Hurley display that similarities exist between dogs and humans. That sounds way better. It sounds more like we know what we're talking about and where we got our information from. So now what we're about to say is going to seem way more credible. But it's not quite enough. We want to add processing language and memory in there somewhere so the readers know that those are the similarities that we're going to discuss. Because I'm sure there's plenty more similarities, but these are the ones that we have done our studies about. So the next thing you want to do is add that in there. You could add it at the end. You could say, like processing language and memory, but I'm going to put it in the middle. So now I have display that similarities like memory and how they process language exist between dogs and humans. So now the reader knows exactly where the information came from and what they're going to be reading.